Oh, is there? Okay. I'm looking at the clock. It's like 10 seconds until it hits 5:06. And I was like, dang, if I'm not on time, that's crazy. Here we go, though. Fancy Blitz. Oh, now, okay. I think we're good now. Um, yeah, just made it in time. 5:05, I believe, but we're here. We made it. Fancy Blitz. It's your boy Elijah. Happy Thursday to those that celebrate. The season is 2 weeks away, isn't it? Yeah, it's like 2 weeks away. I'm just so excited. Just talking to people that also love football. They just have that feeling of we're back. Okay, we back. Look it up, Andy Mineo, great song. Um, Ryan G says, "Yo." Chili Rainbow says, "What up, y'all? Heck yeah, let's do this thing." Got the crew back. Wayne Heron says, Wayne Heron says we are ready for game one. Ryan G says we got to get you a 1440p camera. I agree. I'm gonna pull it up on my phone. See what I look. Okay, that didn't look too bad. It's not bad. It's always weird, like seeing yourself on there. I never know. Make sure you hit that like button on your way in. Appreciate you guys. Ryan, you're totally right. It'd be great if we can get me a nice 1440p camera. At this point, I'll even take 1080. Shout out to the video game. He said, "No, you good." I'm just joking. No, I know, but it would be nice though, right? It'd be nice. Um, you know, it's great to like truly be back in the swing of things. I'm gonna pull up some notes here. But good to see the community. Good to hear from y'all. We're trying to get 2K subscribers by the end of the year. We did get 1K for last year. That was great. But it's always a little bit slower throughout the season. Um, and we're here. We're trying our best. So make sure you tell your friends, family, your coworkers what it's all about. Fancy Blitz. Once Coin gets back in, he'll testify about how this channel really does help you win your league. And we also talk about how it's not if you're not going to win your league, if you not get last, because sometimes you're battling to not get last place, and in some leagues, of course, there's a punishment involved. Oh, speaking of my league, I got to get one going. And then, of course, some other notes is we got to get the Fancy Blitz League going. I'll give more details at the end of that on how we can get that league rolling in. I'm going to share, I'll probably share my Instagram. And so I'll share it now. My Instagram is at eheron22. And DM me if you would like to join. I've already got some spots filled, so I've probably got like 5 spots already in there. Let me see if I can pin this. IG for invite. DM on IG for invite. Appreciate y'all's patience. As always, if you're new to the show, sometimes things just pop up and it's not a lot of fun to deal with, but the Lord is good and we make it through. Let me fill in this. Are you renewing last year's league? Yeah, I low-key, I think I will do it on Sleeper. It is just better. Let's see if I can pin this. Yep. Boom. Yeah, I'm going to do it on Sleeper this year just because I like the ESPN one, but they just do too much. And Sleeper is just better. It's easier to navigate. Now, ESPN did do a lot better this year, updating. They did a whole new renovation, like completely different style. I do enjoy it, though, but I'm an ESPN guy. But Sleeper is just better for the community personally. All right, so let's see. All right, so first news is we have Buccaneers to activate Chris Godwin off of the PUP list, PUP list. That means player unavailable or unable to perform list ahead of 2025 season. So that's good news for the Buccaneers. And good news if you're a Baker guy, just adding another weapon out there. I do think having drafting Emeka Mbuka this year was a great choice by the Bucs. I mean, they could have gone defense, but they've already. My thought that their mindset was this offense is already on fire. Let's just add another great receiver from Ohio State. And if you know ball, if they're from Ohio State, that's huge. Baker and Ibuka stack looks tempting. There's a few players this year where I'm like, you could stack them because usually the stack's pretty dangerous. Because if they have a stinker game, you have 2 players that are costing you a lot. But Baker with Evans, Irving, uh, Ibuka, like any of those guys, really, I think are great pickups. Um, but like you wouldn't want like a Tua Tyreek one. That's not great. And there's just other examples out there that you probably wouldn't want to go for. There are some players out there like Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase. If you can somehow get Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase, fantastic. Um, let's see in some other news here. Appreciate you guys coming in. Zach Charbonnet pushing Kenneth Walker the third for timeshare in Seahawks backfield. I mean, I guess. I think Charbonnet is a good player. I think he's a great running back. A good running back, but it would just be tough. Wow, I just read the next headline. For Kenneth Walker to lose that starting job. Bullet was fired into Chiefs coach Andy Reid's office in May 2024 while he was inside. Why are we just now hearing about this? Oh, Matthew Judon went to Miami. He said he didn't go there to relax. He went there to put the work in. Hopefully, he can change that Miami mindset. They're a bit sluggish. And Chiefs trading wide receiver Sky Moore to the 49ers in a late round swap. It's pretty. I mean, 6th-round pick. That's not terrible. He just wasn't what they were looking for. I never really understand teams that collect late round picks for players like alone. Like if it's part of a draft package or a trade package, sure. But Sky Moore for a 6th-round pick, I just don't see why anyone would do that. But we'll see how it goes. He didn't really pan out past couple years, but that's okay. It is what it is. Let me turn that down. All right. So the reason you're here today is to find out 5 players that you need to draft in order to win your league this year. Okay. Personally, I think it's all about your first 3 rounds. Okay. So I went and dove and I looked around for some guys that are later picks because obviously you need, but it would be great to have Bijan Robinson. It would be great to have CeeDee Lamb. Those are 1st-round picks for a reason. But these are later guys that I think that have way too high of an ADP, and people don't want to call them casuals because nowadays it's like a slur. But casuals will look at them and be like, "Yeah, it's a little high of an ADP. I don't really want to go after them. Maybe I should go for a guy that's ranked above them." Don't be a slave to the rankings. As a guy that used to be like that, it'll cause you nothing but trouble, and your team will just look too generic. It's not about what your team and it being so diverse. It's really about what those players will give for you. But these are some guys that are household names, but their stock has dropped drastically. And we'll start off with the honorable mentions. Nick Chubb, running back for Houston. His ADP is 156. So that means he's looking at around the 156th pick in your league. Personally, I think that's ridiculous. Let's say Joe Mixon gets hurt, what are you going to do with him, right? So, but if you get Nick Chubb on the bench, he's still, I think, going to get some touches. I don't think he's worthy of an RB2 or even a flex spot. It would be great. Bro, he's literally starting week 1 too, isn't he? I see. What? Nick Chubb? Is he really? There's just no way. Is Nick Chubb starting week 1? Ryan, if you can find that out in there. Yeah, he is hurt. Let's see. But how long is he going to be hurt, though? See, Ryan, that's why I need you on the show, brother. You definitely will be on the show for sure. Once I got to get used to like the whole laptop thing. So once I get like a Zoom call thing going, it's over. Still out and definitely uncertain for week 1. And probably smoke and mirrors. He's missing all preseason. Yeah, that's been known. Wow. Yeah, so at 156, if you get Nick Chubb, that's great. Now, obviously, don't take him like round 5 or round 6. Build your starting roster first and then go after Chubb. But dang, that's crazy. Ryan, if you could find out how long he's projected to be out, that'd be fantastic. That would be great. All right, and the next honorable mention is Cooper Kupp. JSN is projected higher to be drafted. Personally, I don't agree with him being ranked a little bit higher. I do think JSN is worthy of drafting. I think he's worthy of an WR2. That sounds weird. Wide receiver 2 spot or even a flex spot. But Cooper Kupp, a lot of people, he's at 92.8. So looking around the 9th round, beginning of the 9th round. Again, this is Cooper Cup. This guy led the league. He's a Triple Crown winner at one point. If you don't know, Triple Crown is receiving yards, receptions, and touchdowns. He led that in the league at one point. Um, I think it's a steal at 92. So if you can go after him, maybe if you want to take a gamble at round 8, I see him falling maybe around 10, depending on some of your leagues. But again, that's another name I think is just way too high to have an ADP of 92. It's at 92.8, so really it's like a 93. And every pick matters, so don't even fret. All right, so we'll start off 1 through 5. This is not in a particular order. I will say my favorite out of the list, but number 1, Chris Olave, wide receiver for the New Orleans Saints. His ADP is around 100. I think it was like 99.6 or something like that, or maybe 100.2. But someone's got to catch the ball in New Orleans. I know they're poop. Okay, I know they're terrible this year. They should be terrible, but I mean, someone's got to catch the ball. Chris Olave is still a great receiver from Ohio State. Um, I think he'd be a great addition for your bench. If you want to put him in your flex week 1, I wouldn't recommend it, but I wouldn't blame you for it just because you want to test the water, see how it goes. But quarterback situation still looking like eh. I think it's Spencer Rattler. Even if it's not Spencer Rattler, like you're still like, oh, that's nothing great after that. Who knows? Maybe Tyler Show, whatever his name is, could be the next great thing. But Chris Olave, I think at 100 or so, that's a great pickup. Number 2, we have Jalen Waddle. Now, this guy's probably, I think, yeah, he's the highest on the list at 76.8. This is a guy I think is worthy of a wide receiver 2 spot. You should always, and obviously, you're going to fill up your wide receiver 1 first, but when you go to the running backs, when you get through your running backs and your wide receivers, you're going to have that empty spot in your flex spot. He's definitely worth a flex spot. Tyreek Hill doesn't look the same. Corners are going to be all over him. And I think Jalen Waddle is honestly just the better receiver this year, and just the more reliable guy. So stick with Jalen Waddle if you're going to go with a Miami receiver, because Tua, Tyreek is around, what's his ranking? I think he's like around 27 last time I saw. I don't know. Wayne, I'm so sorry. I did skip over your comment up there. I can see how the rankings can truly limit you. I say go with your gut every once in a while. Yeah, I mean, sometimes you really just got to go for it. And have fun. Like, pick the guys that you want to have on your team. I don't necessarily want Drake London in the second round, but if it's him or Xavier Worthy, as a Falcons fan, I'm going to go with Drake London. I think he's a little bit better. Can you explain the flex spot a little bit more? So the flex spot is, so you have your quarterback, running back, wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2, and then you have your flex, defense, and kicker. The flex is just running back, wide receiver, or tight end. And if you're in a super flex, you can put a quarterback in there. Those leagues are a little bit tough because quarterbacks just fly off the board so fast. But your flex position, I think, is the most important one because those guys can really give you some good points. They can be starting a wide receiver just on an team, So I would go with Jalen Waddle at your flex. If you can get him at your flex, that's really good. All right, number 3. So this is our last receiver on the list, Jawan Jennings, another guy I think that's a great talent. Not on the best team, I would say. The 49ers did fall off. Now, it is the 49ers. They can come back and still be the 49ers that we did know of that will lose in the NFC Championship. I'm just kidding. I wish my team would make it to the NFC Championship. But again, similar situation. Someone's going to catch the ball. He did have several great games last year. But the consistency is the only thing I'm a little shaky about. Yeah, you do have Ricky Pierce on that team. You still do have Brandon Ayuk, but Brandon Ayuk got the bag and dipped. So be aware of that situation with the whole 49er scheme. But I think if you're going to pick a San Francisco wide receiver, I think Jawan's your guy. ADP at 122, that's a steal. That's the 12th round. That's an incredible pick, I think. You could definitely go with him that late. That's a bench position, so worst case scenario, he stinks throughout the year. You can just drop him, pick up another hot trending wide receiver on the waiver. And by the way, waiver wire Tuesday will return. We won't have lives for that, but we will have some videos coming out on Tuesdays. So don't forget waiver wire Tuesday, live stream Thursday, starts and sits. You already know. Appreciate the confetti emojis. I really do appreciate that. Ayuk is unlikely to be healthy week 1. His knee. Oh, no way. That is unfortunate. So, again, see, if you want to pick up Jawan Jennings, it's still not. He'll be wide receiver 1 for that team, and he'll be on your bench. You can see how he goes. Picks up some steam. Again, I'm building up scenarios, but that is how you kind of have to look at it. He picks up steam. boom, you have a trade option for other people, and he's on your bench. So I think it's a great bench stash. Yeah, even Ricky Pearsall. I don't like the 49ers as a team, but they do have some pretty good fantasy players. And also, I do believe Brock Purdy's got enough talent to make these guys pop out. But again, who's on their team that's the star? Christian McCaffrey. They're gonna load the box. I do believe that these guys will get open eventually. Some of these games have some breakout games. We'll just have to see how it goes. Let's get some water in here. Okay. That's crazy just seeing myself. I don't know. I'm flipping it over. All right, so to run through it again, the honorable mentions of Nick Chubb, Cooper Cup, and Chris Olave, Jalen Waddle, and Juwan Jennings. And then 4 and 5. So we'll start with 4. Tony Pollard. Okay. Running back for the Titans. I'm a huge Tony Pollard guy. I think that he's great. One of the better running backs in the backfield in the pass game. I think if he's going to give you 40 yards rushing, that's a fair amount. I would think for Tony Pollard. I'm just thinking about old Tony Pollard, so bear with me. But 40 yards, but that he's going to get some production in the backfield for some catches, some breakdown, some checkdowns, and their new quarterback, Cam Ward, a rookie, and he looks legit. So he might have some scenarios or situations where he's got to check down the ball, and he might get a little, what's the word I'm looking for? A little pressured, and you just boom, bump down to, Tony Pollard. Even if it's a catch for 5 yards, that's 1.5 points right off the bat. And I think that he's just a good option for Cam Ward. He's an experienced player, been in the league for some years now. And his ADP is at 84.5. Again, this isn't a player that you want to just go all out for. Just kind of wait for him to come by. If he's on the board, if there's 2 players ahead of him, you could probably take that risk and go after him. Wouldn't take him around 5 or 6. Wouldn't really push him for your flex or RB2. Let's see. Ryan said Purdy is a dog, though. He is. That's what I'm saying. These guys are good, but it's the 49ers. I know they can be good. It's just I'm a little worried about them. They did lose a lot throughout the off-season. Calvin Ridley is going late in that Ward Ridley connection. Already looks crazy. It really does. Like any Titans player, even Tajay Spears, I think is not a terrible bench pickup. But I'm pretty high on the Titans this year. My 2 teams that I think are going to be better than a lot of people expect are the Patriots and the Titans. That does not mean playoff or division title or anything. It just means I would take their over on their win, over under wins. So Tony Pollard, great pickup, 84.5. Yeah. So you're looking around 85 at your drafting position. Not a terrible start if you're going to start building your bench around him. What do you see good in the Titans? Wayne Heron asked. Just the rebuild. I love I can't remember his name, Coach Brian, I believe. He came from the Bengals. He looks really good. Ryan with the emoji. Yeah, no, I feel you, man. The Titans were my first love, so I do like the Titans. I just like Cam Ward. I think he's great. He's got a great mentality as a rookie quarterback. Calvin Ridley's not a terrible player. Tajay Spears is not terrible as well. Tony Pollard's good. I just think it's a good, fresh start because last year with Will Levis, they didn't even know who their quarterback really was. And clearly with drafting Cam Ward 1 overall, which I think was the best player available in the draft. I don't know if he was the best player overall, but you know what I'm saying? Like Cam Ward starting off and the whole refresh, new start. That's what I love about the Titans. It's all about Cam Ward. The pieces were there. It's just now it's Cam Ward time, right? Ryan says, calling it now, Okonkwo is going to be a solid backup tight end option for fantasy. Book it, ladies and gentlemen. You heard it here first. Ryan G. Okonkwo is going to be a solid backup tight end for fantasy. I believe so. He was always like a good waiver wire pickup for me. If I needed a tight end, I'm like, I'll pick up Okonkwo. Not a big, bad pickup. I like that though. What's his Ryan? If you can find out his ADP, that'd be great because he could be an honorable mention for sure. All right, so number 5. This is my personal favorite. Evan Ingram, tight end for the Denver Broncos. His ADP is at 91.1. So he's one of the higher up tight ends. I think TJ Hawkinson. No, I'm sorry. Of course, it's Brock Bowers, but TJ Hawkinson is one of the better tight ends up there. But Evan Ingram in round 9 sounds really nice. because Bo Nix and Cortland Sutton looked great last year. And then when I say Bo Nix, ADP is 208.9 on Sleeper. I was half joking. No, dude, I think he could be a solid backup tight end. That doesn't mean you're going to draft him, though. I mean, again, like you don't need a backup tight end. I just drafted recently, and I drafted Jake Ferguson as a backup tight end. And I finished the draft, and I was like, why did I just draft Jake Ferguson? So I dropped him, and I picked up Matt Stafford because I have a backup quarterback. So it's just a little bit tough to determine on who you're going to pick up for your actual bench. But tight ends are great for just backup, like off of waivers. But Evan Ingram, besides Bo Nix and Cortland Sutton, when I say Bo Nix and blank had a good season together, who could you fill in there besides Cortland Sutton? Nobody. There's absolutely nobody on that team that really and truly stuck out. Javonte Williams is an okay running back. I don't even want to say okay. Disappointing more so. But I think he's a great pickup for your tight end slot. Again, tight ends, they're just tricky. I remember when it used to be like you need a good tight end to win your league. But now with all this wide receiver pop up, because remember, I mean, Fantasy Blitz, we talked about this last year. Running backs are out. It used to be all about running backs. Now it's all about your wide receivers. It's so deep this year. There's just too many wide receivers to go around. So that means I think it makes up for the tight ends. That's why I like Evan Ingram at 9 or 91.1. And I do believe he'll fall a little bit after too, maybe even around 10. So be aware of that one. Let's go through the list one more time and then we'll head out. Again, these live streams will go a little bit longer when the season starts with starts and sits. We're going to have to go through 16 games in week 1, week 2, week 3 until people get by. I think they start like week 5 or 6, maybe even 7. So I appreciate you guys sticking around for a 22-minute video about 5 guys that you should pick up for fantasy that you don't necessarily need to go out of your way for, but it would be nice to pick up Evan Ingram in round 9. I think it would be nice to pick up Chris Olave in round 11 if he's available. Even Jalen Waddle at 76. It's a great pickup. We need a mock. Oh, yeah, we'll do that next week for sure. Ryan says, can we get a mock draft live stream? Absolutely. We'll do that next week for sure. And then he also said we have a rookie Gunnar Helm behind him who we expect to do well. Okay, Gunnar Helm. I've not looked into this guy. Definitely gave me some homework, Ryan. I do appreciate it. All right, so the list. Chris Olave, wide receiver for the Saints. Someone's got to catch the ball. ADP around 100. Jalen Waddle, wide receiver for Miami. ADP is 76.8. I think he's the better wide receiver option this year for the Dolphins. Then we have Juwan Jennings, San Francisco wide receiver. ADP at 122. That's probably the best steal just because of how long or how large his ADP is. And then Tony Pollard, running back for the Tennessee Titans. ADP of 84.5. Evan Ingram, tight end for the Broncos, ADP of 91.1. I think it's a solid pickup for those guys. If you can look for them, find them in the later rounds. Again, don't be looking for them in 4 and 5. They will be there. But if you're in a league where they're not there, I think you're good. But look out for these guys in the later rounds. Start building your bench up with this because if you can somehow build a bench with 3 of these guys on your team, you must have a pretty good starting lineup and you'll have bench depth. Not to boast or anything, because the only thing I'm boasting is the Lord. But in my league, I've got Rashee Rice. In one of my leagues, I got Rashee Rice, Chris Olave. I think that's a great stack. Yes, I know Rashee Rice is going to be suspended for some time, but I'm looking a little bit deeper into the season this year. Just for that Rashee Rice pickup, I think he'll give me a few games in the beginning, then he'll get suspension. Maybe it'll be 4 games, maybe even 6 games, which is quite a difference. But again, 3 of these 5 guys on your bench, I think that's pretty solid. And then the honorable mentions, of course, Nick Chubb and Cooper Kupp. And we just found out through Ryan, thank you, Ryan, that Nick Chubb is going to be starting week 1. And I do believe that offense runs through C.J. Stroud, even though the Texans have 2 solid running backs. That offense is going to run through C.J. Stroud. So be a little bit careful on how high you guys are going to pick up these guys. Like Nick Chubb's 156. If you don't even draft him and he's available, pick him up on waiver. And Cooper Kupp, 92.8. He's got Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold's not terrible. He'll find guys to get the ball to. I mean, Cooper Kupp's no Justin Jefferson, but at one point he kind of was. You know what I'm saying? So they'll get the ball. All these guys are proven. None of these guys are huge risk because you're going to build your starting lineup. And then you're going to go after these guys. And maybe even a couple of them, you feel comfortable taking them at that second position or even a flex position. So that's it for the stream today, guys. I really do appreciate y'all. Um, I'm blessed every week to be able to do this. I want to look forward to continue doing this throughout the season. Season 3 is going to be the best one. You already know. God bless you guys. As always, be kind. Peace. It always takes so long.